I think it's very, very important to keep pushing our language, our dialect, our touch, our own soul, because I think it is strong, I think it's inspiring, and that's what makes us unique. And I think each one of us has to be unique.
So good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, it's an honor to be with you today. Emel Mithlouthi is also known as the voice of the Arab Spring. And this is something that we're going to dive into in a bit. But Emel has captivated audiences worldwide with her powerful voice, heartfelt storytelling, and unique blend of Tunisian roots with global musical influences. Beyond your groundbreaking performances and no doubt your activism through music, one of the things that you've done, one of your greatest performances, at least I would have assumed, was your Nobel Peace Prize Awards ceremony. I want to dive into a million things, but before we go into it, I'd love to know a little bit about how you came in from Tunis, launched your career as a musician there, because I know that that was also something that wasn't expected. Yeah.
I'm still wondering. I mean, I think music gives you this, invisible kind of like superpower. So I think I've always wanted to be a musician. I've always wanted to be an artist, and I think I just couldn't wait to leave the country, because to me, that was the only step for me. So I always tried to work towards that goal. And initially, actually, I was a graphic designer. I mean, I graduated as a graphic designer, and I got an internship. There was like a small graphic design company, and their name was Au fond à gauche, which means like to the left. So I thought it was really interesting. Obviously, I didn't do much graphic design, and I took so many leaves. And that's how I launched myself in Paris. I also got a scholarship from, there was a program to help artists from Tunisia and other places, and they would give us some money, and we would settle at La Cité des Arts in Paris. And originally, I was there for 6 months. I was funded to be there for 6 months, and then I extended, and from 6 months, it became 2 years. Voila. And then little by little, I was trying to perform. I was trying to just push things and write songs, and but you're not really thinking, you're just trying to do. And it's very interesting, because obviously when you look back now, you're like, oh my God, how crazy was I?
I mean, it's the context of being an artist is beautiful, because when you finally realize how that obsession can translate into passion, it becomes so fluid in our language in creating things. And I think you do that quite evidently. I'm not so sure how many people know, but you used to have a metal band at one point at the age of 19. And yeah, so from metal to what you're doing today, it's quite the transition. Could you give us a little anecdote or story about?
Do you think so? Because I feel, well, probably not my last album, but I think my second and third albums have, I don't know, almost immediate connections to metal. I think metal is a great base to be able to do so many. Metal and just rock music is an excellent base to have in order to make any kind of different genres. So yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning of the beginning, I fell in love with singing with Céline Dion. So I actually did the right path. And I always like to joke when people ask me if I took singing lessons, and I always say, well, yeah, with Céline Dion. So they really think that I took voice lessons with Céline Dion, but what I did is that I just listened obsessively when no one was home, and I would just try to mimic her. And she has an excellent technique, obviously, and that's, I think, what I wanted to learn. But I think sometimes in high school, one of was now my best friend. She introduced me to Nirvana and Metallica, and it was just like a huge discovery. Because obviously, growing up in Tunisia, you're so fed up with the system and your family, and all the, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you can't go there, and there's nothing to do. Actually, there's not much to do. So eventually, you're like,
In this whole context of you can't do, is kind of channeled into becoming the way that you create. Because I'm familiar with your practice as someone that's always been outspoken about all things so controversial almost. Like you mentioned, Tunis was a big influence. Perhaps being told no was what made you so impactful with saying yes to yourself first and then launching your career with the yeses that you want to hear. I want to know how life in Tunis influenced your musical career today and how that upbringing, because the influence of North Africa is also quite stunning musically.
Yeah, thank you for talking about that, because the more I progress in my career and the more I think of how amazing, how actually lucky I am to have that culture. Because basically, growing up in Tunisia, you just have so many cultures at once. You're not 100% Arab. You're not 100%, I mean, being Tunisian is being a little bit Italian, being a little bit, being a little bit like, just Tunisian. It's just a mix of so many things. And in my particular story, I grew up listening to Vivaldi and Beethoven and Mozart and Louis Armstrong. So I didn't grow up with Kulthum and the classics, those classics. So I had like these westernized musical culture with the North African touch, obviously, with our own, music, which is Mizwood, which is the bagpipe, which is kind of Celtic too. So I think that's what I've always maybe struggled thinking why am I changing all the time? Why am I I'm comfortable doing a metal song, but I'm also comfortable doing a very classic song. I'm very comfortable doing an electronic or techno song.
Your current album is quite electronic in direction.
My current album is quite electronic, and I have so many projects that are not out yet, that are techno, that are music scores So, and I think I owe that to the fact that I grew up in Tunisia, that I grew up precisely in Tunis, that I grew up with a father who is so eclectic with an amazing vinyl collection. And I think when I look at the Arab scene now, and there's so many excellent musicians coming out every day that are mostly coming, the ones that I'm seeing that are being really followed, that are mostly coming from the region, and what I mean by that is Jordan, Palestine, Egypt. So for me, it's important to represent my small region and to represent a different twist of being Arab, because I see myself as an Arab, but I love being an Arab / African / Tunisian.
No, I get it. Beyond your love for being Arab, you've also been titled the voice of the Arab Spring. And I think this is something that's really important to go back to, because the context of your storytelling with the way that you write is incredible. It's powerful, but what people also don't know, you sing in multiple languages, yet your Arabic is somehow been so beautiful that when they offered you to perform at the Nobel, you performed in Arabic. And it's just stunning because in a moment like this, when everything is going on, it showcases how it's not the context of language barrier, but it's the ability to still translate and communicate what you want to say as a singer. And the fact that you had been picked up for that is, and been recognized for, is beautiful. Could you tell us a bit about the correlation of being the voice of the Arabic Spring and as well as your performance with the Nobel?
So I think my first step into music, into being a musician, has always been connected with a message and the social change idea. So my first influences that really marked me and made me want to be my own thing, because it's exciting and beautiful to just sing anything and, like, you know, be covering different genres and different artists, but there's a point where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to just be me. And when that happened, I was inspired by Marcel Khalifa, by Fayrouz, by Sheikh Imam, and what their songs gave me, in addition to being excellent songwriting, production, emotional, it gave me power. And when I felt that sensation for the first time, I was like, why is it giving me, like, I feel like I'm gonna fly from my room and just start like a whole movement. And I thought, well, if I can do this through my music, then that's all I can wish for. And that's how my music started speaking, you know, for the voiceless. And being invited to the Nobel Peace Prize was such an honor, just because it's such an old institution, and also the concept of inviting musicians to celebrate the winners is a long tradition. And the year I was invited, there were a lot of awesome other artists. So I was the newcomer. I wasn't a pop star. I came and I was singing in Arabic, and I was singing this song that's not like, it wasn't designed to be a hit song or a mainstream song, you know? Like, it goes from low to high, and it's like 6 minutes long, and it develops and changes, and the lyrics are very thick. So it was really a powerful moment to see how people just were moved just by the interpretation. And I had actually 2 performances. One of them was during the ceremony at City Hall, and that's like the more really official, where you have the king and queen, and, you know, everybody just sitting in their chair, and then big strong lights. You're not on a stage, you know, with like tamed lights, and, you know, you're just there, and everything is so bright, and it's broadcasted on TV. And I was like, I can't do this. And my guitarist said, you know, just sing like you know how to sing, you know, just do it. And I did it, and it was really beautiful to see how people were moved, you know, not knowing what the song is about. And I love that about what I do, because I feel that lyrics translate their own emotions, even if you don't understand the precise lyric, but every word comes with its own magic, with its own emotion.
For those that haven't seen the performance, I urge you to go look it up. I was doing some research, and I found something that is absolutely insane. This is, I guess, the rite of passage, especially for an artist like yourself, but I'm going to read this out. Amel Mthlouthi made history when she became the first woman to sing as a soloist in Iran since the Islamic Revolution in 1979. This groundbreaking performance was featured in the 2014 documentary No Land Song. This is beyond groundbreaking. The context of becoming a voice in a space where people would have never assumed would be possible back in the day. Do you have any comments on what that felt like, or?
Well, I know my best friend is always pushing me to, like, you know, talk about this every time and kind of like have it on my resume or something.
Yeah, because
But
I had no idea.
I don't know, maybe it comes like from, yeah, to me, like I do things and I, you know, send them in the world and then I don't really think about it. Um, Iran is a country that has inspired me through its music and its culture and its cinema. So I've always been fascinated. Um, they really have strong tradition in throat singing and songwriting and poetry. And so when I was invited to participate in the documentary, of course I said yes, 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 yes. I asked like, can I go there? And they said, yeah. I mean, we're gonna try. So the whole thing took 2 years. We couldn't go, and there was a lot of suspense, a lot of back and forth. And when you watch the documentary, unfortunately, it's not on Netflix, but I'm happy to send it to all of you because I think everyone should watch it. Really, it's brilliant, and it's very, very emotional. And so, yeah, there was a moment. So throughout the whole movie, the idea of the movie was to organize the first concert of female solo singers because female singers are not allowed to sing alone on stage, which I find a little bit more violent than just not being allowed to sing, period. So it's like I can't be me, I can't be myself. I have to have a man sing on top of me, on top of my voice. So in the documentary, you never know, is the concert gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? And at some point, like, I just wrote something on Facebook and then like immediately there were some phone calls the day after and they're like, well, this person, Emel Mathlouthi, is making a lot of problems. We're not gonna be doing this. Anyway, so the concert took place in front of a mixed audience, but it wasn't as public as we wanted it to be. It was like, you know, we were pushed, you know, to not make a lot of noise. But yeah, indeed, I stood up on stage and I sang Kalimti Hurra, and I dedicated from like the Tunisian youth to the Iranian youth, and that's how I became the first woman to sing solo on stage in Iran. But I hope I can come back and do like a proper concert.
Stunning. Before we go into Q&As, I wanted to talk about where you were with your journey now as a musician. Because like you mentioned, you are very comfortable transitioning into different genres and different sounds. What's going on right now? Because last song is completely different.
Where are we? What are you doing? You know, I don't know. I think so. So when you're about to do an album, so I don't have like a team of 20, you know, artistic directors and counselors and songwriters. Obviously, when I start thinking about a new album, it's just me. And so I think it's good and bad. It's good because I can do whatever I want, apparently. But it's bad because, like, you don't know, like, are people gonna like it? Are you gonna be able to tour with it? And so I think I got to the point where, like, okay, I tried a New Edge album. I tried, like, North African percussions slash, you know, rock electronic album. It's time for me to try to follow some rules, believe it or not. I thought I was following rules. And so my idea was to make a mainstream album, but with my own touch. So the way I started it is that I put a playlist with all the mainstream songs that I like, from Taylor Swift to Kanye, to not Katy Perry, Charlie XCX. You know, I realized that there's actually cool songs that Aya Nakamura. I thought like, well, I love a lot of these songs. Can I try to make something like them? And I worked for a long time on this album. I think I worked for 2 years. So I did and redid and redid. So there were some songs that actually went through 5 completely different versions and 5 completely different production. And my idea also at the same time was to only work with women. So we're about 30 women from 22 different places, from Brazil to Egypt to India to Iran to Iraq to Ukraine, France. And I didn't plan all of this. So I like to put a lot of complications ahead of me. And so I met an excellent producer. Her name is Hannah, and she's coming actually from the pop world. And she's the one that was like, okay, why is this like 3 bars long? You have to do like 4, 4, 4, you know, like, why is this, you know? So she cleaned everything. And yeah, basically we tried to do a pop-ish album with a lot of pop references, but at the same time, we started including rap. We invited like 5
rapping?
different rappers.
Oh, not you rapping.
I did rap.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope I'm giving you. I hope you're gonna listen to the album actually, just to let me know if I'm saying the right things or not.
We'll host a feedback session next year at XP. Halas.
So yeah, that was my idea was to do the first 100% female made album, because there's no other 100% woman made album before, but have my own take on mainstream and pop.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amel. I'm truly grateful. I wish we could join. Thank you for being so true to your voice and your music. And I mentioned previously, you've been a great inspiration with everything that you do. So thank you for all this.